Well, on a much different note, the baseball season kicked off with the Seoul series in Korea between the Los Angeles Dodgers and San Diego Padres, but the league is making headlines for all the wrong reasons. The game's biggest star, Shohei Ohtani, signed with the Dodgers for a whopping $700 million in the offseason. The Dodgers suddenly fired his translator and close friend late Wednesday, accusing him of stealing millions of dollars to cover gambling debts. The translator says Ohtani lent him the money, but the story raises questions about Ohtani's complicity and the pervasiveness of gambling in sports. Joining us now to talk more about this is Doug Eldridge, longtime sports agent and founder of Accuses PR and managing partner of DLE Agency. Doug, great to be with you again. A lot to unpack here, so let's get right to it. What else can you tell us about this story and why it's such a big deal, especially for those who maybe don't follow baseball?
Well, for a couple of reasons. Number one, Ohtani is not only the best player in Major League Baseball, a legit two-way player in an era of specialization, but he also garnered, by well-deserved, the largest contract in North American history, 10 years, $700 million. Now, on the back of this, what we're talking about is purported sports gambling in California, which is illegal. Remember, the Supreme Court decision, which was a 6-3 decision, indicated not that sports gambling in the United States or sports betting was legal, but that it was no longer blanketly illegal. They kicked it down to each of the states. 38 of the states, including Washington, D.C., has allowed language and legislation to permit it. California is one of the few that hasn't. Now, what we understand at this point is that Ohtani's translator purportedly racked up nearly $4.5 million in gambling debts. And there's questions about who and in what manner those debts were paid off. The problem, going out to 50,000 feet, is that MLB has historic black eyes when it comes to sports gambling. From the 1919 World Series from the White Sox through a multitude of games in order to get kickbacks from the mob, to Pete Rose, more infamously, betting on his own game. So this is coming at the worst time with the worst player and the worst place. So hopefully this will get some sense of clarity and clean up on aisle 3 in the near future.
Yeah, what do you think is going to happen here? What's your prediction?
Well, I jokingly said to somebody earlier today, for skeptics, this is a slam dunk. Of course it was Ohtani, and he's using his translator as a scapegoat. We don't know that. For fans, it's confusing. And frankly, for MLB, this is like an ulcer. This is the last thing they want for all the reasons that I just went through historically. But the problem is, what we're looking at is the regulation of sports betting across the country, right? That 6-3 Supreme Court decision, and I talked to you guys here at EWTN News Nightly on that historic ruling a couple of years ago. That historic ruling didn't make it legal. They just said it was no longer federally and nationally illegal. 38 plus DC have made it legal. California, as recently as 2022, had 2 propositions on the table to legalize it in a very narrow capacity, and the residents voted against it. Here's the problem. Ohtani did a 10-year, $700 million deal, deferring all but $20 million, so $680 million. It's the highest, Tracy, the highest contract, the biggest deal in North American sports history. And I don't say that in hyperbolics. I mean that in literal context. So you have not only the most talented player, you have the highest paid player. He is a major international draw, and you're pulling on the proverbial Achilles heel when it comes to MLB, and that is sports gambling. So there's a lot of touch points and sensitive zones here in this story. I would say this is absolutely the beginning, certainly not the middle, and definitely not the end of this story, because it is now a federal investigation, because that California-based bookkeeper is now under indictment, and that's how all this came to light.
Yeah, and we're definitely going to be following this story for sure, and the issues with sports gambling. Doug, thank you so much for coming on. Always appreciate it. God bless.
Great to see you. God bless.